for the main. So, yeah. When they're this, they've been closed down instantaneously. I think it's really sketchy.
Yeah, it's changed.
Morning, good morning. All right, we got a nice day on our hands here. It's mid-March. It was like 70 degrees yesterday, and then it's gonna snow today.
Yeah.
So like, hey, welcome to Colorado. You haven't lived here in a while. All right, I gotta pop over real quick to jump onto this.
Are you recording?
Guess what? We are recording.
Oh.
And we've got some folks online we'll introduce in a moment, but yeah, everything you say can and will be used on YouTube. So
How do you find it?
Google it.
Just Google it? Okay.
Yeah.
My husband wanted to do my thing last week and I said,
Oh yeah. Well, I only posted it last night.
okay.
I just, yeah. All right, meeting agenda. We did our bell ringing. We're gonna get through that intro stuff. We've got some announcements. We'll do happy bucks and onto the program today, which we're very excited about. You would repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. We're all there.
I'm muting all.
Okay. I'm gonna click on the presentation again real quick, Terry. Thank you. All right. So 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And will it be fun?
Awesome. Be seated, please. All right. So guests today in the room, we only have Howard, who's barely a guest anymore. Online, we have our speaker, which we'll introduce in a bit. And then,
Jared.
and then, yeah, that's our only guest today is Howard. So we can move on from this section. Still no location for our club social. The end of the month, we'll have a 5th Wednesday. So we'll do an after work time event. It'll be in the afternoon. And Joe has been graciously working hard on figuring a solution out for us. So just a quick raise of hands here in the room and online of those who can come. How many people would be interested in a purely social evening event?
Sure.
Versus one with a little bit of program to it.
Oh, no program.
Oh, okay, well, there you go. No one wants to program, everyone wants to drink. All right, great. So we'll work that out. There's your answer, Joe.
Program.
I was gonna dance. Let's do that. All right.
Well, we take that.
We can probably fill out it.
Improvise.
All right. As you saw in that district email, if you're on the district email list, the Ukraine donations through Rotary, going through the disaster response fund for the Rotary Foundation, it's the International Foundation. Those will be collected. District website's got the link through to that. But all donations to this district response fund will go towards Ukraine. And yeah, not Syria, but Ukraine. And water, food, shelter, clothing, medicine only through the end of the month. So that's only a couple more weeks. So if you did want to donate that way, they are channeling the money directly to Ukraine relief work. March Madness. So brackets are going out today. If they haven't already since we've been here. It'll be $10 a bracket. Half of it goes to Happy Bucks, half goes towards the winners, plural, based on how poorly you do on the bracket, right? So it's like golf, the lowest score gets the most money?
No.
Oh, okay. Anything else to add to that, Bob?
No, I just need to fill out brackets before game time tomorrow morning. Money can come anytime.
Right now.
Oh, look at that. Terry's chomping at the bit, gotta get her bracket in. All right, well, thank you for doing that, Bob. We really appreciate it. It's always super fun. So this will be I believe this is the last time you'll get this update before we get an update on the actual event, but the Sleep Out to End Youth Homelessness will be on March 24th. And that's a fundraiser that Joe participates in. The email has already gone out. If you need that again, email myself or Joe and we'll re-forward that. This is for Together, which is a local
Actually, we'll
NGO.
meet next Wednesday, the 23rd.
Oh, that's right. Is it really?
It'll be the day
It will be the day
before.
before. Okay.
And then you'll know exactly how good the weather's gonna be Thursday night.
So we'll bring you hand warmers or we'll bring you a spray fan. We'll find out.
Jay, it's Ann. Can you hear me?
We
Can you hear
can.
me? Oh, I just
Yeah.
wanted to say about Together that we've got 2 Rotaractors for sure that I volunteered. So Jay's gonna hook up with him, I hope. And Debbie Setlock, who's the past president from Longmont, she's also doing it. And I'm gonna be doing it also because I want to get some good shots of everybody. So just wanted you to know, we got some people from Rotaract to help.
Great,
I don't know if
okay.
you heard that. Ann's trying to get some good shots at everybody. She didn't go out there fighting, so bring your boxing mitts. All right, thanks, Ann.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, a good turnout from Rotary. It'll be awesome. So we're on to that time of the meeting where we do Happy Bucks. As per usual, this is a time to say something positive that's happened to you or something that's for the good of the order of the club to share. So feel free to make your contribution.
We had a birthday party at our house on Sunday, and the whole Bang family was together for the first time in 2 years, and it was great. Everybody was there.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm just happy. I'm happy it's not snowing yet.
Christie. Christie, yes.
This is the happy cranky dollar.
Uh-oh.
We have moved to Balfour.
Oh, really?
Moving sucks.
You had to downsize. Oh, bless you, bless you.
Happy to be here.
Awesome,
thank
thanks,
you.
Howard.
Thank
Glad to
you.
have you.
I got a happy, we had a neighborhood meet in the street last night, postponed from the previous week. So all of the folks in our little enclave get together, share, well, bring their own beverages, but it was good to meet some new neighbors last
Oh,
night.
I'm sorry.
The weather was nice.
And the weather was very nice.
Yesterday was my firstborn's 21st birthday.
Oh, my goodness.
Aw.
No longer legally responsible.
I'm so
for that child.
Oh, so many things.
I'm a happy cranky, happy because I'm happy to be here, and cranky because I'm not going to Milwaukee because I have other issues. And cranky also because I won't be able to visit my daughter in Minneapolis after Milwaukee. So, the sunrise was beautiful this morning.
Yes, it was.
I thought of you every time I see the
Yeah,
sunrise.
so do I.
Because you always comment on it.
I'm just coming over that hill, the Indian peaks are pink, the Flatirons are pink. It's so gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's what I'll miss when I move to Boulder, if I ever can afford to move to Boulder.
The clouds were blood
Luck
red.
with that.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
That's my first time coming down Arapahoe.
Yeah,
Ah.
it's
Usually
beautiful.
I come in 36, no more.
Terry, you have one?
No, I'm just happy.
Oh, wonderful. Always good.
Yeah, anybody on Zoom that's happy and wants to say something?
Yes,
Don't forget.
it's Ann. It's Ann. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so this is from Kim because she's still on baby watch. She said she wanted you all to know that she's got some wonderful news to share with you all. Vera, you all know Vera from her greenhouse scholar that she sponsored 12 years ago. Vera's husband has finally had his immigration hearing after 3 years. And so he's coming to the US. We're not allowed to announce it other than Rotary, but isn't that great news? Because that was been very upsetting to Kim and of course to Vera. So just wanted to give you the good news. She wanted me to share that with you.
Awesome.
Yay.
Still on baby
Right.
watch, okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
This is Suzanne. My
Great to hear
son
you.
and his wife had a baby last week. So we're
Oh,
happy.
congratulations, Granny.
Yeah, Lydia. Yeah,
That's exciting.
and Suzanne, we're gonna
We had your statement returned, so we're gonna need your home address at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don't announce it here, it'll be on YouTube. All right, anyone else for Happy Bucks today? Oh, good. Oh, I saw George jump on video. George, you have a Happy Buck?
George is here.
Yeah.
George McKee.
No, I just faked you out. I've got a cold.
Just
He
when?
jumps on into like, yeah, Happy Buck, but no, he's not. So, thank you, George. All right, well, we'll get moving on for our program today. I know that we gave Jerry the forewarning, it would take about 15 to 20 minutes to get through the normal stuff, but I don't know if Bill's on to do her introduction. I don't see him. So I actually read a little bit about Jerry, and it will definitely embarrass him a little bit that I did that. But I was looking for a good photo, Jerry. So you'll have to pardon me because I like to put a good photo up here.
I'm already embarrassed, so.
So I read that Jerry went to BYU and that Jerry has lived in a lot of parts of our country. So that's also exciting for many people here where you grew up. He's lived there. He's lived all over the place. So there's a lot to talk about there. And Jerry currently works at an organization that does some really interesting mapping about like, it looked like personality and behavior type, mapping and trending. And he had like a little quote about, looking at the dynamics in his family and finding ways to have people communicate better to one another. So like there's a whole nother element of Jerry that we're not going to hear about today, I think. But I think that it's important to know because Jerry's a multifaceted person. He's done a lot of different things. And he worked at Western Union for a really long time too. So I know that that's a big entity here in the Front Range. So with all that being said, Jerry, I know it's not the introduction that I'm sure Bill would have done because he's fantastic at it, but we'll get you hopped over here to talk to us more about the Aspen Effect and your role there as president. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, you bet. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. No, I am embarrassed. Starting the day with a Rotary Club somewhere is like the happiest thing you can do in any day. And so I appreciate being with you guys. Appreciate your joy and all of the things that you contribute to our society. I've done this for maybe 8 or 9 other Rotary clubs along the Front Range. And I just feel like I've been introduced to a family that really knows how to be happy. So I appreciate being with you this morning. I don't know, can I share my screen with you?
You're made a co-host. You should have full privileges and rights there.
Let me see if I can
And just to tell you, you are on like a 70 or 80-inch TV in here, full screen. So like you're big right now.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I think that helps people to kind of know what they're getting into.
So you can see every pore of my face, huh?
Not anymore. Now you're little. Big presentation, little Jerry.
Okay. So can you see my screen now, okay?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, so I would love to add to your joy by talking to you a little bit about the organization that I'm involved in. It's called the Aspen Effect. And I don't know if I'm going to try to play a video. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Just stop me if it doesn't. I'll start it and stop it and see if you can hear the video and everything.
Yeah.
Were you able to hear that?
Yes.
Okay, I'll continue. It's about a 2-minute video. All right, so hopefully you were able to see that and hear that. What I'd like to just outline for you today is the vision of the Aspen Effect, our values, share some stories with you, which I think is probably the most important part of the whole presentation, and talk a little bit about growth, some of the programs we have, and the support that we've received from the community. And I would love for this to be a very interactive discussion. So just stop me if you have any questions. So as you saw on the video that I just showed, the Aspen Effect has three important elements. One is a really cool ranch environment. It's called the Bell Mountain Ranch Equestrian Center, and it's located on the south side of Castle Rock. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Another really important element is the 25 adult mentors that we have. They're all volunteers. They range from attorneys to physician's assistants, teachers, moms, all sorts of different, just average folks. None of us are therapists, but we're all really passionate about the work that we're doing with the youth at the ranch. And then the last element is just a strength-based approach. So the owner of Bell Mountain Ranch Equestrian Center started a behavioral health agency several years ago in Arizona. He's moved since then, lives in Colorado. His partner is running that. But the approach that we use at the ranch is taken from that behavioral health agency. It's a very positive, strength-based approach. It's helping kids to kind of deconstruct the negative labels that they've acquired throughout their life and helping them to reconstruct a more positive perspective of themselves, and doing it through just experiences with animals and with an adult mentor that cares about them. Is there any questions so far? Okay. I'm going to keep going here. Important to us is the values that we have that really drive our vision and drive our interaction with kids, but also with adults that work with the ranch or with the program. I'm going to see if I can move. Let's see. Part of my screen is being blocked by pictures of everybody else on the call. Let's see. Okay.
We don't see them on our side, Jerry, just so you know.
Okay. So those four values are very important to us. So we accept others where with genuine curiosity, accept everybody. We promote respectful behavior. We seek common humanity, and we believe in human resilience. So these are things that we really try to promote with all of the kids that come to the ranch. It's something that we start every meeting with as adults on the board. We even have a teen advisory board that I'll talk about in a little bit, that we use these values and talk about a lot.
Hey, Jerry, real quick on your resilience aspect, are you going to get in more depth on that part?
Yeah, that's really the whole bottom line focus of the Aspen Effect, is to help kids to become more resilient.
Awesome.
So if you have any specific questions about that, let me know, but I will definitely get into that.
I was just going to ask if if you guys work through any of the models about grit, and if that's part of that training that y'all do.
No, I recently started reading a book about, I can't remember the title of it, but it has grit in the title. So, but I would say the general model, the general approach that we have really comes from that behavioral health agency. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that agency. They're very non-traditional. You know, a lot of behavioral health agencies will get kids out of school, put them in an office, do talk therapy, maybe give them medication, and all of that's good and necessary. But this agency is very different. They've got almost 600 people in their organization throughout Arizona, and they send these people out to the homes of the kids. And so they spend time in their homes. They take the kids to the park. They take the kids to buy things, you know, and give them experience of handling money, you know, a lot of real life experiences. And at the same time, they're approaching the family with curiosity. So very, very important to that organization is to show respect to the youth and to their parents, who may also be suffering. And then really trying to form a collaborative organization of people around that youth. So it may be the coach or the minister, so that everything they do with that youth is sustainable. It's sustained within their regular life after whatever experience they have with the agency. So we try to use that approach with the kids at the ranch. So they come and let me show you. Let me share a couple of stories. I think that might help illustrate some of the things that I'm saying. And I'm going to try to move around again some of the stuff on the screen. So I've changed the names of the kids in these stories that I'm going to share with you. But this again will illustrate the approach and some of the miracles that are happening in our program. So again, I've got to move around this screen. So this is a story about Tessa. Again, her name's been changed, but Tessa has only recently been able to speak freely to me. And this is from her mom, to me and our therapist of her trauma with her dad. She prefers to just put it behind, of course. And though she's 13, she looks 16, she feels 10, and is highly intelligent. Challenges, I won't read all of these, but you can see that Tessa had a lot of challenges. And this comes to us through an application online from the parents. And they need to kind of let us know what are their kids suffering, or what are they dealing with. And as you can see, Tessa was dealing with a lot in her life. Her mentor, Lisa, said, "I have seen what an amazing person Tessa is. I've seen her become more comfortable with our relationship, more confident with her skills, taking care of the animals, talking to adults. She's also very generous." She also said, "I am humbled every time I mentor Tessa. She has taught me a lot about working with what you have to find a solution. She's a master at this, and being grateful for the simple things this program is inspired." So I want to just stop and give you an example of something that might happen in the program, and why the elements of the program that I mentioned are so important. So I've seen where a mentor will take a youth into a horse stall, and maybe that youth has never been that close up to this huge, large animal before, and the horse's ears go back. And the mentor says to the youth, "Did you see that happen?" And the youth will say, yeah. And do you know why? And then you'll say, no, I don't know why. Well, this horse doesn't know who you are. And this horse is a little nervous about you walking into their space. And then the mentor might say, have you ever felt your ears go back when someone walks into your space? You know, and that's an example of this experience for that youth is all about the horse. It's not about them. They're not in front of a therapist that's being paid to, you know, figure them out. It's really about the horse. And so what I've watched is those barriers that youth put up often come down, and that enables you know, a mentor, an adult that's there because they care about them. They're not being paid either. And that's really huge for a kid to know that. For an adult to create trust and a bond and a safe place for them to talk. But the animal is the one that facilitates the whole conversation because, you know, they feel it's about the animal. It's not about them. So hopefully that kind
Peter, real quick, we have a question in the room, Bob.
Yeah, please.
Jerry, are the kids resident at the ranch at all, or are they just brought there and stay in their homes?
No, good question. So the ranch is set up. The only people that live on the ranch is the director and the assistant director of the ranch. They've got little homes on the ranch. And it's not really a ranch, it's a horse barn. We call it the ranch because it's called Bell Mountain Ranch Equestrian Center. But it's a horse barn. And there are about 55 horses that are stalled at the barn. And the revenue from the owners of those horses is what runs the business of the equestrian center. So we are separate. We are not part of that business. We are a separate nonprofit. And the equestrian center is like one of our biggest donors because they provide space for us. And I'll show you the space that we use in the back of the ranch. But the kids are kids just in the community. We reach out to different organizations that serve kids. So recently we started working with the Lone Tree Teen Court, where they have they give options to kids that maybe commit a crime. Instead of appearing before a judge, they can opt to appear before a peer group of teens. And so the Aspen Effect has become an option for kids to work out their service hours. They can come down and it's not just volunteering, it's actually being matched with an adult mentor, because often these kids are going through a lot. And but the kids do not live on the ranch. So does that answer your question? Is there any other questions?
We have one from Mary Beth in the room real quick.
Other than courts assigning kids to this, are most of the kids self-determined? Or do the parents assign them up, or how do you find the kids other than organizations or the court system?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, most of the kids want to be there. And we have, again, we've reached out to different organizations. There's a youth assessment center in Aurora that we've worked with. The Douglas County Youth Initiative serves a lot of kids in the Douglas County School District, and we work with the school district. We advertise on Facebook. So what happens is a parent will become aware of what we do. It's all free. There's no cost to a parent. So the way we get our money is through the community, through donations. But a parent will become aware of us either on Facebook, or someone will tell them, or it's the school district. And they will apply online, and part of the application is telling us what their child is dealing with. And then probably my most important role is to match kids with mentors. So I mentioned we have about 25 volunteer mentors, and you know, everybody has a different conception of your higher power, but I really believe that it's way beyond me. And when I see these matches happen, I've seen miracles happen where you know, an adult is matched with a kid that is just a perfect match, where maybe something in their past life is something that's going to help this youth, where they can, you know, gain that bond and that trust. So yeah, kids are coming into our program because parents become aware of what we do through different organizations or advertising. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, any other questions?
We have one more from Bob. Bob,
Yeah,
jump
go
in.
ahead.
Jerry, it looks like to me that you're getting at the parents who are the problem through the kids.
Bob's a straight shooter here, Jerry, sorry.
Well, I've always said that adulthood is working out the crap of your childhood. so I believe that that's true. I also believe that the parents that I've met are doing the best that they can. You know, there's parents that were children themselves one time, and they had a difficult life, and so we really try to approach the parents and the kids with respect, try to understand where they're at. And oftentimes, you know, like a kid will go out with their mentor and the parent will stay with me in what we call the hangout. It's a little clubhouse at the back of the ranch, and we'll talk. And I can see that some of these parents are just beside themselves, not knowing what to do to help their youth. And, you know, since COVID has happened, there are so many parents that are looking for some kind of help, some kind of support. And oftentimes I feel like, you know, just bringing that parent in this peaceful environment and in an atmosphere where we accept them and we're curious about what their lives are like, that's also healing for the parent as well.
Thanks, Jerry.
Yeah, another question?
Yeah, Jerry, so if you're in Castle Rock, I mean, are the kids are not living on the ranch, and so you're just helping kids that are local?
Yeah, we draw kids usually from Douglas County, but
Yeah.
we have some kids from up in the Aurora, Denver area that come down, but usually it's around in Douglas County area.
Okay, thank you.
Let me share another story with you, and then I wanted to kind of help you understand some of our programs, and that might trigger some other questions that you might have. So this is a young girl. Again, her name has been changed, but her dad had just died not too much before she joined our program. She joined through a woman that's standing next to her. Her name's Tina, in the Douglas County Youth Initiative. No, I'm lying. Tina is very involved in helping us find kids, but this particular young woman, her chiropractor was on a Chamber of Commerce breakfast club that I was in, and he suggested to the mom that they need to check out our program. And so I matched her with Tina, and it was a joy to watch these two together. Every time this young girl came, she would just give the longest hug to Tina, and they'd go out and they would spend time with the mini horses and the goats. And what that looks like typically is an hour each week. So we figure out, you know, the schedule of the parents, the child, the mentor, my schedule, and they usually come once a week. And it was a joy to watch her just have another adult in her life after going through something so difficult, losing her dad. So her mom said for the last 9 months, Sarah has exhibited severe stomach pains. We went through all the doctors and all the tests, and the doctors have come to the conclusion that this is anxiety related. After losing her dad 4 months ago, these episodes have increased. She said these last few months have been very difficult for our family. Sarah is very close to her dad and has been exhibiting some behavior issues, which could also be preteen attitude. Because of her love for animals, I think that this could be an amazing outlet for Sarah to release some of her anxiety and be able to interact with another adult that is just there to listen and help. This is what she had said in her application. And as I said, there was just some great things. And Sarah has actually gone on to another program where she is spending time with a woman who is who actually has a horse at the ranch. And so she's actually learning to take care of this large animal. And I think this lady is actually letting her ride the animal in the arena. So very, very cool story. This is a picture of our clubhouse in the back of the ranch. It used to be a storage unit and we turned it into a kind of a cool clubhouse where the kids and their mentors can kind of hang out. We now have a keyboard in there. We've got a couple of guitars. Part of the program is not only to spend time with the animals, but we encourage the mentors and the kids to identify one project that they want to do together. And it could be learning how to play a piece of music. You know, maybe the mentor plays the piano and the kid wants to learn how to play the piano. Or we had one kid identify our goat pen had a door that was broken, the lock was broken. So he and his mentor got nails and a hammer and got some wood and they fixed the door. And now I've got a little label on the door that says Isaiah's goat door. And so that's one thing that we try to do, is to help kids to reimagine who they are in a positive way. You know, if they sketch a picture of a horse, I've got several of those framed up in the clubhouse. We've also got a website where we put those on the website and try to get, you know, kids validation for the wonderful talents that they have. These are our shirts. We've got vests. Here's a slide that just shows some of the people that we partner with, some of the organizations. You asked where we get some of the kids from. These are the organizations that help us to do that. Here's kind of a look at our 2-year program that we set a year ago. And I'm going to go through each one of these programs real quickly. In fact, how much time do I have left?
You've got 20 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If you like it, you can have it.
Okay. So I don't feel like I need to rush. So here's, I started this whole organization with a program called Ranch Hand Leadership Academy. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. But we have since then added other programs. We've formed a 501c3 nonprofit. We've got bylaws now. I've got a board. It's really cool. I've never done this before. So it was mentioned that I worked for Western Union. I worked for Western Union for about 26 years. So one of those anomalies. And I did work for another company called Emergenetics, but this stage of my life is just so different from you know, sitting at a desk trying to make a profit, competing with everyone. It's this world of people that are really trying to help other people, and it's just been so rewarding. So as we've been building this nonprofit, it has absolutely been because of the collaboration of many people. I have a lot of energy to be flexible and to really consider different ideas. So every person that comes to be a mentor or a person that's on our board, they bring ideas with them, and that's how this is being shaped. And so, you know, in 5 years, I have no idea what this is going to look like, but you know, the journey to get there has been really, really rewarding. So ultimately, we want to be able to have an equestrian team of young kids that are actually competing within Colorado, maybe even the nation. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but we have gotten all the way to an equestrian training, which I'll talk to you about in just a second. Any questions on that at all? Nope. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about the Ranch Hand Leadership Academy. As I mentioned, 4 or 5 years ago, I started this, and these are kids that we hire. Well, the Bell Mountain Ranch Equestrian Center hires to groom 22 miles of horse trails. And I was asked by the owner, Jerry, would you come down and create a leadership program for these kids that we hire? His passion, he and his wife, their passion for purchasing this equestrian center was not so much horses because they're not really horse people. They love horses, but it was really about how can we help people in our community? How can we create a community place that gives back to the community? And especially for them, it was about the youth. And so I started this program called the Ranch Hand Leadership Academy. And basically every June and July, I'm a glorified scoutmaster. How many guys get to stop everything they're doing? And every single day I go down to the ranch. And what I do is I try to stand behind these kids and allow them to run this little organization that has a very clear goal of maintaining these horse trails. So each one of these kids that you see have been assigned a grouping of those 22 miles of horse trails. And their objective during the summer is to get the rest of the team to follow them so that their trail is groomed up to standard and the deadline, the time deadline is met. And so inevitably there's always conflicts to resolve. There's always problems to find solutions for. So after every day that we work together, we get together and have a little meeting, and I let whoever's leading that day lead the meeting, and they have to address what happened that day. You know, so-and-so forgot his water bottle, or someone was being unsafe with the equipment, or we did really, really well today. Wow, we got done quicker than we thought. So it's really very much about life lessons, and I'm standing behind them, trying to mentor them and help them. We also have, I don't know if you've been to Castle Rock, we've got the MAC, which is a place that has zip lines and rope courses. And so I take them there every summer for a day, and I encourage them to do the scariest thing that they can think of. And every year they try to get me to jump off the 75-foot platform, and I've never done it yet. I don't know if I'm ever going to do it. But every week of the summer, we have what we call as a cowboy value, and that week is courage. So we have service, we have authenticity. And so that's another thing that I try to do is get them to talk about how does that show up in your life? And I try to help whatever experience they have at the ranch, I try to help them bring that back into their life. Like, how are you going to apply this when school starts in the fall? And, just help them to be a leader in their own life, be able to advocate for themselves, be able to influence other people. So that's how it all started. We also have a program that we started a little bit later called Healing Horse Connections. And this is specifically for mentors that own horses at the ranch. And currently we have about 10, they're all ladies, 10 ladies that have horses at the ranch. And they receive 3 hours of certification training on our approach. And basically they have the opportunity to invite kids to get to know their horse. And that may look like grooming the horse every week and kind of talking about how the kid's day went, maybe leading the horse around, riding the horse. For most of these kids, they have never been around an animal this large. And the magic really happens when they realize that these large animals are very, very emotional. And these animals reflect the emotion of the person that's in front of them. And it's this discovery of respect, that it's this mutual respect between the youth and this big animal. And so a lot of magic happens in that moment. We have another program that we're starting actually in May called the Mini Horse Leadership School. I'm excited about this. We've got 3 mini horses. Each of the mini horses have completely different personalities. The one that you're looking at, she's very shy. And so we teach the kids that they need to behave in a certain way in order to get the harness on that horse. They need to be very quiet. They need to make themselves very small. They need to essentially respect the personality of that horse so that they can connect with that horse and build trust with that horse. But you can probably see already how that can translate to, that's how we, interact with other people. If you don't like your science teacher, you need to figure out what makes your science teacher tick. And then you need to respect the way they want to be approached and the way they want to be communicated to. So that's the kinds of things that we're going to talk about in this leadership school. This is going to be more of a group mentoring that's going to happen once a month, the first Saturday from May until August, where we will have somebody demonstrate something about handling that mini horse. It may be leading by the side. It may be leading with confidence. But we have 5 leadership principles that we're going to teach these kids, and it's all going to be done facilitated by these horses. And then we're going to split them up, and each one of them we're going to be able to actually have hands-on experience with the mini horse. And there's always going to be a debrief at the end about how does this translate to your regular life. We have the Animal Lovers Volunteer Club, where kids have the opportunity to take responsibility to clean out the goat pen. So they have to get in there and get kind of dirty and messy. And these goats they're cute, but they're really dumb. They're not as smart as the mini horses. The mini horses are really fun to harness up and get on the trails, but these goats are just kind of dumb, fun animals. The kids love them though. But this program is really more teaching them responsibility and accountability, and being able to walk away from that saying, hey, I did a good job. I took all that, gross hay out of their stall, and I put some new hay in there, and I did a good job, and I'm responsible. That's just another positive label that we want them to walk away with. We have a program called Riding with Resilience, and this is brand new. We just started this last fall. And this is where a trained professional horse trainer teaches these kids how to ride horses. So if they're chosen for the program, they get 6 one-hour lessons. And I'll say from a personal standpoint, the most joy I have ever had in this whole experience is watching the 3 kids that we piloted in this program last fall perform in front of their families and friends. And I looked into their eyes and I could see this message that I am an equestrian athlete. I am something that most of my friends don't even know anything about. And it was this confidence, this light in their eyes. So it just really encompassed what we are trying to do to help kids reimagine who they are. So very cool program. One of the coolest programs, and I'll end with this one, is called the Teen Advisory Board. And this really was organically formed. So you saw the Ranch Hand Leadership Academy, these kids that I took out every summer. I only let them stay for 2 years, and then I kick them out because we've got some lines of kids that want to get into that program. Actually, I don't kick them out. I've made some partnerships in the community. For example, I've got the owner of Chick-fil-A will take any of the kids that come out of my program as an employee. And that's one thing that we're really trying to consciously do, is try to find a pathway for these kids so that they can stay involved. And here's an example of that. These kids were all in my Ranch Hand Leadership Academy. They said, Jerry, we want to stay involved. What can we do? And we talked about the idea of forming a teen advisory board. So now these kids meet 2 Thursdays out of every month, and their whole purpose is to help other teens with mental health. And they will be the first to tell you that Jerry does not know the answer on how to do that. They know the answer. And they basically tell me to get out of the way. They've got their own name. They've got their own logo. They're starting a podcast, a YouTube video. They're reaching out to their high schools and trying to, what they really want to do is take the mini horse to an assembly, because they told me, Jerry, kids just look at their phones during the assemblies, but if you'll let us bring a mini horse on the stage, bring a mini horse outside during lunch, we can get the message to these kids. And you know what they tell me is they know how to talk to other kids. We're adults that are well-meaning and that do such good work with suicide prevention and all that. They tell me that adults just don't know how to talk to kids. And so they kind of see themselves as a resource for adults as well on how to reach kids. And so I honestly think this is the future. I think, you know, in 5 years, this part of our program is really going to take off. Any questions on anything I've talked about so far? I'm going to wrap up after this. All right.
Real quick, for the teen advisory board, how many high schools are represented in that board for you all?
Right now, so there's only 10 kids and there are 4 high schools represented. So both high schools in Castle Rock, there's one in Parker and then one up in Highlands Ranch.
Okay, cool.
And I'll tell you, these kids have organized themselves, and you know, I'm one of their mentors, and I've also got another woman that's on my board that mentors, and each one of them have a role. So we've got the director of youth outreach, we've got the director of adult outreach, we've got a treasurer, we've got a president, we've got a secretary. So they are really being run as if they were a nonprofit board. And we are really trying to allow them to do that. We're just kind of standing behind them and, you know, helping them to connect with adults if they need to. But I'll say that the Castle Rock Rotary Club gave us nearly $2,000 this year just for this teen advisory board. And you should have seen their faces when I said, hey, you guys have $2,000. And they were going, what? I mean, to them, that's just this huge amount of money. And so, you know, my role is to say, you know what, you've got to go back to that Rotary Club and you've got to tell them how you're using that money. And you've got to tell them about the impact that that money is having so that you can go back next year and get more funding. So it's really trying to teach them to think about, you know, how does a nonprofit run? And what's awesome about it is it's giving them power to do something that they feel so passionate about. They're being heard. They're being given money to do things. And they're being given adult mentorship. But we are very careful to stand back and let them to do what they need to do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, more so. Great, thank you.
And I assume they had to learn how to apply for that grant.
Yes. Well, frankly, I'm learning how to apply for grants. This is all new to me. So I'm, you know, they're actually learning along with me. But, you know, for us, it's just really, really important to make kids feel that they are being listened to, that they're important enough that they can tell the adults what needs to be done. And in doing that, I'm just seeing these kids light up. And I think this is really a big part of our future, what these kids are doing.
So Jerry, this teen advisory board, do they have meetings or presentations or mentoring via Zoom? I mean, you're in Castle Rock, and I just see this could be going all over the place. But I mean, thanks to COVID, we all know that we can do these things hybridly. And just curious if you're doing that.
Yeah, no, every time I get the opportunity to be able to just present, whether it's on Zoom or, you know, I recently presented to the Douglas County School District group of psychologists and school counselors. I try to take one of these kids with me because if it comes out of their mouth, it's just 10 times more impactful than if it comes out of my mouth. Unfortunately, a lot of times they're like right now they're in school, so it's hard to do that. But I will say that these guys were the keynote speakers in the Douglas County Youth Congress up in Highlands Ranch in October. So we had about 60 really, really sharp kids in the Douglas County School District that gets together annually to form this youth congress. There were 25 public officials, you know, politicians, school officials, And our kids, this group of kids were the keynote speakers. They got up and I was so proud of them. And they were brand new too. And it's like, whoa, wow, we're already getting the spotlight. So to your point, that's very, very important for me to get them in front of other people. We've also had a lot of conversation, my board, about, wow, this what we're doing here, we could franchise this across the state of Colorado. And, so we get ahead of ourselves. We're still, and in the meantime, I'm matching a parent with, or a kid with a mentor and doing a lot of very on the ground work. And right now I'm trying to figure out, how do I maximize my time and how do I delegate to others so that we can start growing? And it's all good though. I mean, it's all, a wonderful, wonderful journey. I want to be. Yeah, go ahead.
We have one more question here in the room. Bob?
How many kids do you touch a year, and how do we clone you?
I think he means interact with, Jerry.
Well, actually, in our program, I would say last year we had probably 25 to 30 kids. So again, we're small. We're small. We're new. This year, however, we are taking a huge leap. So one thing I haven't talked to you about are some new programs that haven't quite yet been formed. And the question we've asked ourselves is, how do we touch more kids, basically? So to the point of your question is, how do we touch more kids? We've decided that what we need to do is do some group mentoring, do some more group mentoring instead of our basic model is one-on-one mentoring. And we need to keep doing that and doing that well, because that's where a lot of the magic happens. But I've got a woman on our board who is very passionate about helping me pull kids from Aurora and downtown Denver and having a day where we have, I think we're going to call it the Roots Connection Conference. So in keeping with the aspen trees, the roots underneath the ground, and bringing kids of different, ethnic backgrounds and economic backgrounds together and having an animal experience. So that's a long way to say that we've got some group type programs that we're working on for this year that's going to take that 30 kids last year, hopefully up to like 125 kids this year. And that may be pie in the sky. We may just learn a great big lesson, at the end of all that. But we absolutely see the magic that's happening and the importance to be able to reach as many kids as we can. So we're absolutely looking at how we can do that better. And how do you clone me? I ask my wife. I have no idea. I think it's really doing some work about how do we replicate this in other barns across the state? But we are not even near that yet. We're still trying to grow ourselves. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you, Jerry.
Okay, you bet. So here's just a picture of some of our mentors that are awesome. We've got the coolest adults that I'm working with, and I'm so blessed and humbled to work with. Really, really great people. And as I mentioned, they go through a 3-hour certification training, and we've just expanded that now. We're having some other trainings that are part of that certification, and it's about youth safety, it's about animal safety, and it's about how do we mentor, because these are just regular adults, that are not therapists. So we're trying to support them and give them all of the development training that they need to work that magic with the kids. And here's just a couple of pictures of, you see at the bottom, Rotary Club of Castle Rock, that have helped us. And so really the ask from us, I'm going to stop sharing here. The ask from us is really 3 things. Number one, we continue to look for more kids that are struggling, and that is not a hard thing to find right now, because there's so many kids from their experience with COVID that are struggling and parents that are struggling to help their kids. The second thing is we're always looking for volunteers. And, you know, it may be a volunteer that can come every week and spend an hour with the kid. And that's usually where people start. That's where they fall in love with what we're doing. But it can also easily morph into, I've got a couple of, well, several ladies that are helping me come up with these new programs. They're volunteer directors. I've got people that are on an advisory board. They're not really the board, but they're the advisory board that are each taking responsibilities to help us to grow and to kind of steer where we're going. And then we've also got a board. And then the third thing, obviously, is just donations. We offer this completely free to the community, and a lot of the families that we serve couldn't even think of getting close to enjoying equestrian sports, because equestrian sports is so expensive. So that's absolutely an asset for us to be able to find people who are willing to share funding with us. So that's it. I mean, if there's any, is there any other questions for me that you have?
Yeah, we need your email. We need your email. Your email.
Oh, yeah. So my email is Jerry, Jerry. My last name is Van Leuven, so the next initials V, Jerry V, at theaspeneffect.org. And effect is spelled EFFECT. Jerry V at theaspeneffect.org. And I said that because I often get that wrong.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll send my our website as well, so you can get a lot more detail on our website. I'll send that to whoever sent me the invitation.
Okay.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think Bill Hendricks would be our programs person, and unfortunately wasn't here today. Well, we are out of time, but I did want to let you know we'll be sending you in your email some of the connections we've had who are also presenters to our club. I think that's another thing that Rotary clubs do so well is networking. And we've had recent presentations from organizations that I think you'll find quite beneficial to network with, and possibly it'll help expand the pie, because there's some duplicate type of momentum going on between you and an organization that we have a board member in our club called NAMI.
I've heard of
and
them.
Then you've heard of NAMI, awesome. And then you may have already heard from Castle Rock about Ryla and young Ryla. And I think that there's everyone here is chomping at the bit, because Ryla is a big part of what Rotary does in terms of providing youth leadership. And there might be nominations from your organization for teenagers to come to Ryla in our district here. So that would be something no cost to them. RYLA.
What's RYLA? Is that an acronym for something, or?
Yeah, it's Rotary Youth Leadership Awards.
Oh, okay.
That's basically an opportunity for them to. Terry, did you want to talk about it?
Well,
you're showing excitement.
I'm showing excitement. I served at the junior one week, but it's actually, the award is actually a free week at a camp in the mountains, Estes Park down south. And it's bringing all these youth together with Rotary mentors. And it's just a week of learning about themselves and others and leadership. And
it ties into your mission from the Aspen Effect.
It's very similar, but doesn't involve animals.
No animals. And there are some college scholarships that often go out for specific students that are identified through that transition process of the award. So that camp setting, people are selected to get scholarship money, and it's not just for university. It could go to trade school. It could go to anything. So there's not like there's not any sort of pretension there that it needs to go to just one type of life path. And I think that's and I think it's a huge part of what we're trying to do in our communities is alleviate some of that anxiety that you have to follow the same path that might be prescribed by your high school counselor sometimes. So.
Right. This is making sense because a partner at the Castle Rock Rotary Club contacted me a couple months ago, and he's going to be bringing a group of kids, and I'm sure it's from this group, to the ranch, and we're going to put them through the mini horse leadership school. And so I'm sure it's the same group, but I didn't know them as RILA, so that's very interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
So there might be also something that we call Interact, and that would be a high school Rotary Club.
Oh,
So
that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it
That's
is.
what it is. Yeah. All right. Well, and you could make your teen advisory board a Interact club, and they would get all the other benefits of being Rotarians too. It's a whole nother thing, but that's Council Rock can help with that.
That's a great idea.
With all that being said, we have a token of appreciation for you here. So when we see you in person, it's a little paperweight of the globe with the Rotary logo on it, so you can think of us while you're stacking all those papers in your office, because we all do that. And Jerry, I know that you volunteer with CASA in Denver. Is that still something you do?
I don't currently, but I have done that in the past. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I live on Clarkson, about 3 houses down from CASA. So if you're ever there, just feel free to send me an email. I live in a house with the Colorado flag and the New Orleans flag. So wonderful. Well, thank you again, Jerry, so much. It's been a pleasure having you. We really
same here.
appreciate you. And
thank you.
You're gonna get emails. That's how it works. So you'll have lots of people who are interested in, participating or connecting you. And so expect to see some emails.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And if you'll allow me, if you give me some emails, then I can put you guys on our quarterly newsletter, and you can kind of keep up on what we're doing. So
wonderful. People will send you emails to enlist themselves on that newsletter. So thank you so much.
All right.
With that, everyone, if it's Wednesday, it's Rotary. I'll see you next week. Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, Jerry. Really a pleasure having you.
Same here.
Yeah. It's on its way. It's on my way home.